is no secret we deal with the effects of climate change each and every day. Extreme heat, supersized storms, things changing over the decades. Well, now the United Nations is warning of troublesome trends for the future. They say 2023 is all but certain to be the hottest year on record. Experts believe the data suggests more severe flooding, melting glaciers, heat waves, and yes, wildfires.
We are living through climate collapse in real time, and the impact is devastating. This year has seen communities around the world pounded by fires, floods, and searing temperatures.
The Cop28 climate summit kicked off today in Dubai. Several world leaders will attend, including Vice President Kamala Harris. The goal is for nations to agree on a plan to stop global warming. So let's bring in Laura Pellegrini, co-director of the documentary The Day I Had to Grow Up, which focuses on climate issues. Thanks so much for joining us. These summits, they've been in place since the 90s. Are they effective?
They are effective. And I think the main reason why COP28 is going to be so effective is because we're really at a critical standpoint with carbon emissions. We're at a point where the peak is inevitable. And once that peak hits, whether we're approaching it now or in 2024, it's really an optimistic time for companies to reevaluate their practices, look into more financing for countries that have suffered big losses from climate change, and to hopefully do a turnaround. You know, this is a real critical juncture that I think climate activists around the world are coming together to create solidarity for.
Speaking of, they're creating a fund for these countries that have suffered damage and losses because of climate change, with the host country actually saying it's going to donate millions to this. Do you think throwing money at the issue is going to help, or do you think policy actually needs to change?
I think both, to be honest. I think both need to coexist. You know, you have people at really top level positions from all over the world trying to create a real global alliance around climate policy. They're trying to target phasing out fossil fuels, moving towards more climate friendly technology to reduce emissions. And I think both need to happen in tandem with each other, because there are countries that have suffered such great losses. It's really important that the head honchos from, you know, the high expending countries do put money into countries that need it. And then also work in tandem with policy, and to make sure that their governments on both a local level and a global level are doing everything they can to, like I said, create climate effective technology for the future. So I think both need to happen in tandem.
You mentioned fossil fuels. There are quite a few countries who rely heavily on oil trade. Today, the president of the conference, he said he would work to be more inclusive. Let's take a listen to that sound.
And let history reflect the fact that this is the presidency that made a bold choice to proactively engage with oil and gas companies. We must look for ways and ensure the inclusion of the role of fossil fuels.
I mean, the major question here is, can these things coexist? Is it possible for us to continue using fossil fuels while we try to stop the Earth from heating?
You know, it's a real tipping scale, too. And the fact that this is taking place in Dubai, which is like one of the top oil producing countries in the world, I think is a great opportunity for oil and high emitting industries to be at the same table. We need to bring them all in, and we need to reimagine this relationship between producers and consumers. I think it's a real healthy, good integrated approach to have everyone at that table. It's an opportunity for big scale oil and gas companies to re-examine their own practices in the future and hopefully wean off fossil fuels in favor of ones that are more conducive to the environment.
You know, unfortunately, I've heard no matter who they are, young people, older people, really get a bad taste in their mouth about us being the change, right? When you see corporations, you see countries abusing the earth, frankly. And what we do as, you know, just single old me doing something, that doesn't have much of an impact. How much do we have to lean on countries and corporations to do their part?
That's a great question. I think what it boils down to is the collective. And this is something that we talk about at length in our documentary, my co-director Stefano DeFrey and I, in The Day I Had to Grow Up. Youth activists, they talk about all the time how it's this added pressure to take on all this generational stress and kind of do it yourself and encourage others to take action on a local front, which can then inspire change outwardly. But I think in order for the big changes to happen, you need to have big collective energy, goals, and shared values in order to make that work. It's the only way countries are going to move, and it's the only way that they're going to engage in meaningful dialogue for the future. Nothing great can be achieved by yourself. I think that's the biggest lesson to learn here. It boils down to solidarity. It boils down to the collective spirit, and that's something that'll resonate over time.
So we've got about 15 seconds left. Is it too late for us to turn back from the damage we've already done?
No. I think in order to realize that we can go forward, you need hope. And I think these countries coming together is a good sign of that hope, and hopefully it's a sustainable hope for the future.
Ending on a positive note, I love it. Laura Pellegrini, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.